Okay, I think we have it. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, I have a few things we are going to go over. This is going to be a different brief, okay? Something probably you've never heard. Okay, I'm going to talk tonight about civil defense preparedness and how to survive. Okay, I have 1 hour, so we got to go. Okay, tonight's different. You're going to hear facts. Facts. Now, if I have an assumption, I will preface it and say I have an assumption. If I say this is my belief, I will preface it with this is my belief. Okay? Now, the info that I've got my material from comes from the following. Forward Observer, which I got out of this book. PJ Media, Kitco.com, Military Times, Navy Times, Survival Blog, RenewAmerica.com, Epic Times, American Legion Magazine, National Rifle Association's Freedom First Magazine, Wall Street Journal, Voz Media, Newsmax Magazine. Make sure I have that. And then the last one is this book right here, the Civil Defense Manual. It's how to prepare and protect your neighborhood from disaster, riot, civil unrest, written by Special Operations soldiers and contributing author experts. Okay, the information that I'm going to read to you tonight, we're going to try to keep it short. I have to read it from my phone, comes from Forward Observer. Now, the people who write Forward Observer are the following. Mike Shelby, a former military intelligence non-commissioned officer and contractor. He served in Afghanistan and also Iraq. Troy Watson has an economics degree from Texas A&M, and he's the staff economist. And Max Morton, for those in the Marine Corps, he's a retired lieutenant colonel. He's a former CIA paramilitary operations officer. Forward Observer is an intelligence service company. Let's begin. Here's the facts. Our greatest threat to our nation's sovereignty is China, with the aid of Russia. Okay, now follow me. I've got to read this. I'm going to take it straight from Forward Observer, which is very good. Okay, here's the first one. This is June 7th, 2023. China's continued aggressiveness and logistics preparations may signal war. China's accelerating aggressive military actions in the Pacific, increasingly bellicose language from its foreign ministry, and urgent efforts to increase food imports could signal war in the Pacific. The Chinese naval and air forces are taking aggressive actions against the presence of the U.S. and allied military units operating in the vicinity of Taiwan. The Chinese Communist Party has made urgent requests to food importers to acquire as much grain and sugar as possible in the fastest manner possible. Why does this matter? Over the past several years, China has been making moves that one would expect it to make in preparations for a near-term armed conflict. Combined with the latest actions as described by the White House on Monday, the urgent move to import food products could signal preparations for a near-term military action. Okay, the next date is June 8th. China conducts major air incursion. Taiwan activates air defense. I'm going to explain to you what that means. China sent 37 warplanes into Taiwan's aircraft identification zone Thursday. resulting in Taiwan scrambling jet fighters and activating its air defenses. Some aircraft, including the nuclear-capable H-6 bombers, continued into the Pacific east of Taiwan. On Wednesday, China completed a second day of joint air patrols with Russian forces that included Chinese H-6 bombers, Russian Tu-95 strategic missile carriers, and Russian Su-30 and 35 fighter aircraft. Why it matters? The mass air incursions, as well as the joint air patrols with Russian forces, are likely both legitimate training aimed at Taiwan, Japan, and the Philippines, and also the U.S. China's ratcheting up of aggressive military activity indicates potential future offensive military operations in the region. Now let me explain to you, here's the situation. Taiwan's only 100 miles from mainland China. Now, the ADES is only 12 miles from Taiwan. Now, this is my assumption, former air defense artillery. My hunch is this: Taiwan watches everything that flies out of China. They watch everything that's out there in the ocean that's not far from them. When these aircraft came, they knew they were coming. I can guarantee you they already had an air umbrella up over Taiwan with fighter aircraft. They probably had several, or maybe a squadron of fighter aircraft that had then started up their engines and were on the airport or on the tarmac ready to go. Their air defense, which you don't understand, is they can watch you in silent mode, but they don't want to bring up their radars and activate, because then the enemy knows where you're at. You understand? But when China did this intentionally, because they wanted to know where the ADA was, and so when they broke the plane of 12 miles, they can go in a matter of seconds, they could be over Taiwan. The air defense artillery had to come up and light them up. They would have shot down all of them. And once they did that, then the Chinese airplanes circle all around Taiwan, and they got what they wanted. So what Taiwan had to do is they had to move their ADA when the satellites weren't around and everything. When the spy planes and the drones weren't around, they had to move them. So that was why that's important. And they're doing this constantly. Do you understand? That's not every day, but a lot, so that you understand. Okay. All right, the next one is dated July 6th. Bear with me as I go to July 6th. Now, while I speak to you up here, it feels like I'm in a battle. It reminds me of the times I used to preach. I swore that I was fighting many times up there, and that's how it feels. So, all right. This one's very important. This is very important. China preparing for Z-Day, total war against the United States. China's People Liberation Army recently conducted a Z-Day rehearsal exercise for an all-out war against the United States and published the war scenario in the peer-reviewed Chinese Journal of Ship Research. I have looked, I can't find the article. I have found the ship research, but I can't find it. In the simulation, China fielded 50 destroyers against a Blue Alliance, including the Carrier Strike Group Gerald Ford, which was recently in Vietnam, and its escorts of class cruiser and 4 guided missile destroyers. Chinese researchers believed they would see a 60% reduction in radar capability because the U.S. would jam them, and but they would defeat the Carrier Strike Group with 24 hypersonic missiles. Okay, tracking that? Why it matters. China's PLA is working from the belief that quantity has quality all of its own. I'm getting a phone call. Okay. U.S. forces, U.S. forces with a wide array of hypersonic long-range cruise missiles and ballistic missiles is a realistic assumption given the lack of depth and U.S. precision ordnance in the Pacific. Current plans to plus up precision weapons in the Indo-Pac theater leave a gap of between 5 to 7 years before U.S. ordnance inventories are increased. That has since changed. I will share that with you later with the brief, okay? And that's good news, because it sounds very bleak. Okay, the next one is July 13th. This is the last one on my phone. And then I'll talk. Okay. Now track the dates here. July's not too far away. It was just here. China conducts mass air and naval drills once again around Taiwan, now July 13th. Taiwanese defense officials said China was conducting a mass air and naval exercise around Taiwan, including its far east side. In the past 24 hours, Taiwan reported that 32 Chinese warplanes, including 4 nuclear-capable H-6 strategic bombers, had coordinated maneuvers with Chinese naval vessels inside Taiwan's air defense area or identification zone. So that's within 12 miles. Intimidation here. Why it matters. China has made several major incursions into Taiwan's waters and airspace over the past week and is obviously practicing for a military operation against Taiwan and its allies. With China's increasing belligerence and tightening of domestic security measures, Beijing may be preparing to offer Taipei, or Taipei, which is the capital of Taiwan, terms for reunification with the mainland. If that is the case, expect increased gray zone activity and escalations, including a blockade and possibly seizure of Taipei's outlying islands well before Beijing commits to a large-scale military operation. July 14th. That's exactly what happened. On July 14th, the Chinese used their naval forces to take 2 islands in the northeast of Taiwan, 102 miles away. They're called the Senkaku Islands. Guess what? Taiwan doesn't own them. Japan does. So they took them, but they didn't place any soldiers on it. They're uninhabited islands, which was a blessing. If it had been inhabited, we'd be at war right now, okay? So Japan has not done anything. They've not said anything. China took it over and they renamed them, which they've always renamed them, the Diaoyu Islands, D-A-I-O-Y-U. They've been naming calling these islands that for quite a long time. But Japan has owned these islands since 1895. China claims them like everything else they claim. Now they've told the Japanese fishing industry, you're no longer allowed to fish there. So they've surrounded the waters of those islands with their Coast Guard. So that's how they're occupying those islands right now. So they're setting up for the blockade they intend on having around Taiwan to have connections all around there. Now, what they also did was, we recently sent the aircraft carrier Gerald Ford to Vietnam. We have good relations with Vietnam. Well, when they did this and took those islands, they also sent naval units outside of Vietnam and also outside the Philippines in their economic exclusion zones. When a country is bordered on the ocean, they own from their land out 230 miles. That's their property. China has sent units within their property and basically have said, now what are you going to do about it? Okay? August 5th, I think all of you have heard about the Aleutian Islands. Did you hear about the Chinese and the Russian vessels, naval vessels that came to the Aleutian Islands? 11 of them. We've not had that done before, and they circled the islands. The governor of Alaska hit the roof, and he told Biden and the military, send destroyers, something out there. They were going to send 1 destroyer. He said that's not good enough. They sent 4. And so basically they went around the Aleutian Islands for a while till finally we showed up. Why is that? Because we have no ships based in Alaska. Why? Because we have no, what do they call those that cut the ice? Icebreakers, exactly. We just have a brand new one that has just been given to Alaska, to the governor, and said, here's your icebreaker. Now you can develop the, outside the town of Nome, they're developing a deep sea port for our naval ships. So we can have any kind of ships there except for aircraft carriers. So they had to get these ships either, I don't know where they got them, either from the west coast or they got them from Hawaii. That's a long ways to go to send 4 destroyers. So those Russian and Chinese ships circled the Aleutians, and they were timing how long did it take the Americans to get there. Okay? August 7th, 2023, very important, very important. China blocks the resupply of the Philippine Marine outpost at St. Thomas Atoll. Now you must understand, this is Philippine territory. This is their economic exclusion zone. So the Philippines sends out 2 resupply ships to their outpost with 3 Coast Guard ships. They're met on the way there by 2 Chinese ships, like Coast Guard ships, who sprayed them with water. And they turned back one of the supply ships. And then they also had 2 naval ships, Chinese naval ships, that stood on the side to see what would happen. Well, that one supply ship went ahead, the Coast Guard and everything left. So that supply ship had to come back by itself. But at least they did resupply. This is why it's so important. Okay, so you've got the Chinese Navy that's already in the economic exclusion zone. They were part of that. St. Thomas Atoll belongs to the Philippines. They have owned that island for years. In 1999, to settle all the disputes around there, they got this big seagoing ship, big ship, and they went and they took it to the coast of that island and had it. They just went and pushed it right up on the shore, and they made an outpost out of that ship. And they said, this is our atoll. This is why it's important. That place is loaded with oil and natural gas. So where does the U.S. stand? I'll tell you right now. This is from Survival Blog, who got this information from Epoch Times, June 7th, 2023. U.S. munitions stockpile too low to defend in war over Taiwan. Officials say the United States of America has depleted its own stores of critical munitions so severely that it would likely be incapable of fighting a major war. They didn't say 2 wars, they said 1 war. The nation's stores of critical artillery rounds were uncomfortably low as early as August 2022. By August of 2022, the U.S. had sent to Ukraine 800,000 artillery rounds. 800,000, okay? Since then, a total of 2 million artillery rounds have been sent to Ukraine. That's 130,000 a month. We make, here in the United States, we've increased it from 14,000 to 24,000 rounds a month. That's the most we can do. You got it? That's the most we can make. So where are they getting those artillery rounds? From our Army, from our reserves. They've taken all our reserves and gave it to Ukraine. Okay? It will take 15 years to modernize our U.S. munitions production capabilities, arsenals, and depots from World War II. The House Select Committee said we must modernize them in 2 years. 2 years. If we want to have a hope of stopping World War III, we need to arm Taiwan to the teeth right now. Right now. Okay? We're short on Stingers. We're short on HIMARS rockets. We're short on a lot of things. The Center for Strategic and International Studies says the U.S. would quickly run out of critical munitions during a war with China over Taiwan. U.S. defense industrial base lacks adequate surge capacity for a major war. Our shortage right now, I want you to take this in. Military people, I want you to take this in. Our Navy right now can fight for 1 week. We have enough ammo for 1 week against China. 1 week. You know what that means? When we're out of ammo, there's no resupply ships coming in to bring you ammo. They literally have to hightail it and get out of the range of those hypersonic missiles, which is 1,000 miles. And they got to hightail it and try to get past it. If not, they're going to get sunk. So you know what they've done? What our government has done? We have given our ammo to a country that's not even a NATO country. And we've set up our men and women to die. And they don't give a rat's tail about it. Do you understand? They're hiding something if you're trying to help Ukraine. I can see if it was Poland. I can see if it was Germany or Romania. They're not a NATO country. And we've given them everything. Remember all those, we know this from doing exercises in Germany. Remember all those supplies that we had that we would go and fall on when we go to Germany in case the Russians came over, or if not, we kept those up. They're empty. They have tanks, thank God, but everything else, and they probably have armor rounds, but they're empty. We've given it all to Ukraine. It doesn't make any sense. And why is Taiwan important? I will tell you, everything we make are with chips. And we get all our chips from Taiwan. They have the best quality. We could get them from South Korea, but their quality isn't good. Everything runs on chips. If we go without 5% or 10% of chips, we'll go into a Great Depression. That's why Taiwan is huge. Do you understand? But we've already given all our artillery away. We've given away our anti-ship missiles to take out their ships. I'm going to give you a little bit of hope.
Please.
Okay. A little bit of hope. And it's very depressing, but this is good. Let me get to it real fast. Okay, this comes from the Navy Times. I read it last night. This is dated 1 September. A U.S. congressional delegation visiting Taiwan said Friday that Washington would act if the island was attacked and promised to resolve the $19 billion backlog in defense purchases from the U.S. Know that any hostile, unprovoked attack on Taiwan will result in resolute reaction from the U.S. This is Rob Whitman, Vice Chair of the House Armed Services Committee. Okay, that's a good news. The Taiwanese have already bought this equipment. We haven't delivered. It's like we've been delayed for some reason. But they bought the latest F-16s that there are, and they have some high-tech stuff. And they're going to make it happen. They're going to get them that. We just sent them $80 million. They didn't state what that was for. We've also approved $365 million for them with hardware. We've also just recently approved $500 million for them for hardware. A lot of this stuff is coming out of our stuff. Now, if I'm going to defend America, defend Taiwan, not Ukraine. I hate to say it that way. It sounds cold and unmerciful and all, but Taiwan's been our ally for years. They even sent forces to Korea. How can we turn our back on them just because we need chips? We need to be with Taiwan. So they're taking that out of our hide. I'd rather them take it out that way and use it in that manner. Also, Australia has come to our rescue. We have sent a whole team down to Australia. They're going to make our artillery rounds. They're going to make our anti-ship rounds. They're going to help us out. They are right now making them right now. So we got a team down there. The reason why we can't surge forward, we don't have the tools. We have the resources, but not the tools. Okay, you understand that? All right, let's move on. One last thing, Zumwalt. Zumwalt, ever hear of that destroyer? It's not a destroyer, it's a battleship. Trust me, it looks like something from the alien ships. That right now has just moved into the port in Pascagoula. Anyway, it's in Mississippi. Just recently, a day ago, they got in there. Oh no, it was August 31st, and now they're being outfitted for hypersonic missiles. We do have hypersonic missiles. They're in testing right now. They'll be ready by 2024. But if we had to go to war right now, I can guarantee you they would arm that ship immediately and it would go out and go to war. But that's only one ship. We need our whole Navy with hypersonic missiles. So that's something that you can pray about. Let's move on. Okay, so right now, our Navy has no ammo. No ammo. Next thing. Right now, our border is wide open. Why is our border wide open? I'll let you think about that and chew on that for a while. Why is it open? Okay? Well, let's see what Newsmax says. I got this about a few weeks ago. This is Newsmax magazine. I didn't know they made them, but they do. I want you to hear what they say. Okay, this is the threat from within. Former President Donald Trump voiced the fear of many national security experts when he said in January, China is buying our technology. They're buying up our food supplies. They're buying up our farmland. They're buying up our minerals and natural resources. They're buying up our ports and shipping terminals. As he was speaking, more than 4,000 undocumented Chinese were illegally crossing into the U.S. from Mexico in the first quarter of this year, raising fears that some may be at the behest of the Chinese government. You think? China expert Gordon Chang warned on Newsmax TV that if the U.S. goes to war with Beijing over Taiwan, we are going to see it fought on American soil. On American soil. They'll turn off our lights, turn off our border. And these guys are coming across the border and are going to be detonating bombs and creating havoc. For the first time since 1812, we have been invaded. We are being invaded. And what's sad about it is our government is helping them. The next thing is we have no fuel. The Strategic Petroleum Reserve, we're supposed to have over 750 million barrels. Who in their right mind gives your enemy 100 million barrels? Why did we give the Chinese 100 million barrels of oil? I don't know. Okay? We have 376 million barrels of oil right now, a 16-day supply. In June, we bought 3 million barrels. 3 million barrels can keep every house in America with lights on for 4 hours. Okay, that gives you an idea. On August 1st, Biden was supposed to buy millions of gallons or millions of barrels of oil. This is what he said. Biden said he would not purchase any more fuel for the SPR. Any more. None. Zero. Not in the future. None at all. Why would you do that when we're about to go to war with China? Why would you do that when we have no ammo? Why would you do that to the American people? Why? No one's asking why. No one's asking these questions. Why? Because the news that you see on TV is not news. It's busy stuff. It keeps you occupied. You think you're getting the news? You're getting the news probably for the first time since you've been watching TV. This is the news. So we have no fuel. Now, when I served in the military, I served at Recruiting Command over in Fort Knox. I served there two tours. And right now, they're having a hard time recruiting. No one's met their total any year except for the Marine Corps. You know why I think the Marine Corps has met theirs? Because they're tough. They're real tough. And I know that, and I'm Army. It sickens me to say that, you know? But it's true. Trust me. We had to take over for them in Iraq, and I thought they were disgusting. But that's how the Marines are, you know? But we'll talk about that later. Anyway, our recruiting is the lowest it's ever been. And there's a reason. You know why? Because veterans like me are telling our sons, they're telling our daughters, don't join the military. The grandpas out there are saying, don't join the military. The grandmas out there are saying the same thing. No one wants to go in the military, and I'll tell you why. There's 3 words. I call it DIE. It's called diversity, inclusion, and equity. Now, what's amazing in the military, we have diversity. We're loaded with all kinds of flavors and colors and everything. And we have inclusion. Everybody has a voice. We're always trying to think out of the box. Even the lowest enlisted person, a general will go by, a colonel. What do you think there, Private? What do you think we ought to do? Everybody's got a voice. Everybody is special in the military. And everybody is treated well because their opinion counts. But what we don't have in the military is we do not have equity. Because you can't go and tell the admiral, Admiral, guess what? We believe in equity, so what you're going to do is we're going to take your power and your authority and we're going to give it to everybody, even to the lowest sailor. No, that won't work. You know what that's called? Anarchy. We're not going to have that. See, and that's what they're teaching. Our men and women that go into the service and they have to sit in there and take that garbage and not train. Not train. I've talked to Marines. I've talked to Army soldiers that have been in and have gotten out and they said, I got sick and tired of the classes. I got sick and tired of that. I wanted to go out and train. I talked to a Marine right now who's probably in Taiwan. We do have soldiers in Taiwan, if you don't know that, but we do. Maybe in the Philippines, but he was stationed in Okinawa. All the soldiers in Okinawa do a rotation through Taiwan. It's smart. The Chinese know now that we have soldiers there. So he's probably there now. I said, why are you staying in? He said, I just can't help it. I love it. I love it. And he said, I just tolerate those stinking classes. And then I train my guys as much as I can. He was a young E5, a sergeant. And I took my hat off to him. So here's the problem. Our Navy has been disarmed. Our Army movement is limited. So if we have these bombs going off, people are being assassinated, our border's being cut off and all, they're going to move. They're going to go and find out where they are. They're going to send their drones out. They're going to go and send out their helicopters. But they need fuel. They need fuel. They need that strategic reserve. They got to go from point A to point B to point C. They need it. It's limited. For a reason. For a reason. And here's another thing about it. We're thinking there's only thousands. My last brief I had a gentleman there who was from Russia. He came here in 1991, and he told me afterwards, Mr. Idell, you're wrong. It's not thousands. He says it's 1 million. I think there's 1 million here. And you know what? He's right. Why not? Because just like Donald Trump said, he said, they're buying up all our stuff. Natural resources, everything. Why can't we tap our own oil? We're loaded with it. We have more oil than Saudi Arabia. I'm so sick of when I hear, you have reached your peak now and now we're in a decline. Yeah, because you're not drilling anywhere. We're loaded. Why? Well, that sure explains it. They want to take over our country. Isn't that a scary thought? So what do we do? What do we do? First thing you do, you better pray. Pray to Father God, Father Son, Father Holy Spirit. He's the only God, and He's the only one that can save us. Man cannot save us. Politics can't save us. Nothing can save us other than God. That's who can save us. I come to you, some of y'all are not Christians in here. Some are. But your hope to make it through this time, and if this happens, we're going to need hope. Because you're going to get depressed, and you're going to want to give up, and you want to give out. You can't. You got to hang in there for your kids. You got to hang in there for your grandchildren. You got to hang in there for your neighbor. You got to hang in there for America. And you got to hang in there. But you've got to have a relationship with Jesus Christ. He is the only God, and I have served all over the world. He is the only God who left a crown of glory for a crown of thorns. Allah didn't do that. I've been to Muslim countries. And you know what they told all the Christians that surrounded my fob in Baghdad? The Muslims went up to them and they said, you have two choices. They said, you convert to the Muslim religion or we kill you. Well, the Christians did the right thing. They moved out. And they went to northern Iraq, which is mainly Christians up there. They did the right thing. But the Christian religion is not like that. Father God, Father Son, Father Holy Spirit. Oh no, you have freedom to choose whether you want Him as a relationship or not. It's freedom. He does not go and say you're going to die if you don't. It's not that at all. He says in Revelation 3:20, I stand at the door and I knock. And if you hear my voice, because He's also calling, Michael, it's me. It's me, the Lord. If you hear my voice and you open the door, I will come in with you and you will sup with me. God loves you. He is our hope for tomorrow. And he can stay this. Or he can go and liberate us like we have never seen a liberation ever before. I have been praying for a great awakening. Great Britain had 2 of them. It's our turn. We need to have a great awakening because America influences the whole world. We could see millions of Americans come to Christ. Do you know the second great awakening that was right before the Revolutionary War? Do you know how many Americans came to Christ? 30 million. You know how many Americans that would be today? 100 million. Can you imagine 100 million Americans coming to Christ today and what we can do? We can totally change the world. And then we change it and billions come to Christ. And then if the Lord wants to have the rapture, have it then. I pray that you have a relationship with Jesus Christ. He's our hope for tomorrow. Amen. What do you need to do? You need to buy this book. Buy this book right here. How do you do it? Civil Defense Manual.com. That's it. Buy it. Read it. Now, the first chapter is very depressing. Skip it. I read that first one. I'm like, I don't want to read anymore. Buy this book. It's awesome. It will tell you what to do from A to Z and give you everything, websites, everything. Load it. It's loaded. It's overloaded. You need to get on it. Now, here it says over here, how to prepare and protect your neighborhood from disaster, riot, and civil unrest. When I got this, I knew nobody in my neighborhood at all. Most of you are like that. So if you don't feel inclined to go to your neighborhood because you don't know who they are or what have you, then get with your family. Get with your friends. Get with your church. Get with groups like We the People here. Get with your groups, your bingo partners, what have you, and get with them. And work your groups out together because it's going to be in numbers. You cannot stay in your house and think, oh, it's all right, I've got 20 guns and 1,000 MREs. I'm good to go. No, you won't make it. There's too many people out there. They'll overrun you. You need numbers. You need people. Okay? Okay, there are 5 things that you must focus on, and then I'm going to follow up with something. First one is, I know a time here. The first thing you must focus on, I'll tell you 5 things. We're going to focus on water, food, defense, medical, and communications. And then I'm going to talk to you, how do you live with no electricity? Okay. Water. Water. You must have water wherever you go. If you're at your house, you must have water. You say, well, I do. I have county water. There's not going to be any county water. Okay, so you need water. So you need either a pool, a pond or ponds. You need a fountain. And also, if you don't have water for 3 days, you die. Okay, so that's another good thing. You need a creek, a river, a lake, or well water. A lot of people say, I have well water, but it runs by electricity. I'll talk about that as we go on. You cannot have electricity. Rain barrels, stored water. Okay? You need filters. I have up here to my right, I have some filters. Water bottle. I used this in Wyoming 2 years ago with my boys. We went and hiked up one of the big mountains there and about died, but they had water. They had water. So we just put it in there and drank it like it came out of the refrigerator. This straw here is real cheap, Walmart. It saved a whole troop and Boy Scouts because we all ran out of water, but I had my straw and there was a creek. So we drank that. I did baby wipes on all of them. I said, okay, next. And that's how we made it. But you need filters. The other one you need, a Berkey. Berkey, B-E-R-K-E-Y. It's British made. And they are awesome. Get a Berkey. That will help you. And you can get pond water, or you can get whatever. Put it in there and it cleans it, clears all get out, and it's good to drink. So get your filters. Water containers. As you can tell, a lot of people have water containers, but they're usually not enclosed. It's not going to do you any good. Buckets, get you something from Home Depot or Lowe's or something. I recently had, just a week and a half ago, my air conditioner. We didn't know it was the air conditioner, but the hose stopped up and it poured water all over my laundry room and went into my office. We thought it was a line that broke behind the sheetrock. So I cut off the water. Here's the problem with that. I farm and I have crops. And I thought, what in the heck am I gonna do? I said, I'll get my sprayer out. My sprayer broke. I had to do it by hand. And I worked my tail off because I have a little pond behind my house and I had to go downhill and I had to go uphill. And I started out with buckets that were open about like that, and I said, this is not gonna work. So I got my Home Depot buckets out and I put them in those wheelbarrows and I went and I ordered all of it. I went through 3 sets of clothes that day and I drank about 9 bottles of water and Gatorade. My only saving grace is we still had electricity and we had AC, so that saved me. So when you get your buckets, make sure they're big. Make sure you have a wheelbarrow. Make sure you have a wagon. Make sure they're enclosed, because that water sloshes everywhere. So if you have to get water and bring it back to your house, you don't want to spill it, because you don't want to take that trek all over again. It's brutal, okay? So keep that in mind. Also, keep this in mind. When you have a wheelbarrow or wagon, buy extra wheels. And when you buy the extra wheels, they usually need air, so get you an air pump, okay? Got that? All right, one last thing, water pump. Water pumps, many of them run by batteries. Run by batteries. I've got something in here, but if you want water pumps, you want to go with a company that's good, just look them up. I've got a resource over here, Backwoods. It's called Backwoods Solar. They're out of Idaho, and they've been in the business for 40 years. Everybody that works there lives off grid, and they know their stuff. They're real good. Okay, so use a house battery, use solar modules, or just buy the pump that's battery operated, and you can get that water out of your well. Food. This one's important. Let me see if that's right. Okay, food. You need not 3 months, not 6 months. You need 1 to 2 years of food. 1 to 2 years. I would prefer to say 2. Okay. And you've got to think how many people you have in your house. You have to go ahead and add to it. I have a list here. I didn't get a chance to write that. I wish I had. But anyway, let me just tell you, you say, well, have you gone shopping lately? I said, yes, I have, with my wife. This is what I recommend you do. Bulk, buy bulk, and this is what you buy it around. We like bread in my family. I will go and crawl on my hands and knees for a nice, good loaf of bread. I love bread, okay? And so I have to run. I haven't been doing running lately. I've been doing farm work. That'll wipe it right off. I mean, trust me, you will lose weight galore. Rice. We love rice. I was stationed in Hawaii 2 tours, about 5 years altogether, and they eat rice for breakfast. I mean, we loved it. It was great. Beans. So here's the deal. A lot of y'all are saying, well, listen, when you can, it doesn't last all that long. I got something for you. Okay. Where's my can, my jar? Jar. Canning. Canning's good. Remember when you buy your canning? Ball. Buy the lids. Buy the rings. Really good. Where? Walmart. Anything with Amish Mennonites. Versailles, north of us, we go there. So over at Barnett. Okay. Canning's good. For all-purpose flour, flour will last 2 years. For rice or beans, 10 years, which is really pretty good, all right? So that's excellent. This is better. Mylar bags. I don't know if anybody's heard of Mylar bags. These are Mylar bags. These are better. All-purpose flour, 15 years. 15 years. Rice, 30 years. Beans, 35 years. And here's the difference between, well, not cans. These are good. But the cans that you buy at the store, they lose their nutritional value. Not with Mylar bags, not with canning. They don't lose it. So that's good for you because you need all those vitamins and all.
Can you spell
All right?
that? Can you spell that? Mylard?
Mylar.
Mylar.
M-Y-L-A-R.
Okay.
Okay, Mylar bags. When you do Mylar bags, my wife bought me a curling iron because I was using hers and she got tired of it. So it's really simple, and I'm just going to go through this real fast. Do the ends. Okay? Heat it up. Do the ends. Do not start in the middle because the air will come out in the ends. So you do the middle and you push on it and push on it and push on it. You can put, I think it's 15 cups. We'll fill this up. 15 cups, all right? Fill it up. If you have space, you can add more if you like. And try to get the air out. Get the air out. That's the whole goal. And then go. Yes, ma'am.
Where do you get those at?
Online. Go to Amazon. Amazon. And just look for Mylar. This is my newest edition. I haven't used anything. They come with stickers, and they come with oxygen absorbers. You need to put them in the Mylar bags. I put 3 of them in per bag, okay? Don't forget them. If you forget them, you'll remember. Because you open it up and say, oh, I forgot those. I thought I did. So you have to open it up. The good thing about these, you can use them. You cut them, use them, then put more in it. Reseal it. That's what's real good. Same thing with cans. Cans are wonderful wherever it's at. You can redo it, just wash them, and they're usable again. Okay? So keep this in mind. This is much cheaper than cans. Much cheaper. Okay? So keep that in mind. You come over here and look at it. All right. Brush over here. Okay. Y'all see my glasses?
Add that to the list.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. Well, let's see if I can see. Okay. We'll just go. Okay. Another thing, freeze things, dehydrate things. All right? I don't know where I put them. I'll put them somewhere. I'll come across. Okay. So, you also need to supplement. Oh, you got good ones here? Hey, they work. Take a picture of this now, you know. But anyway, what you need to do is, this food will eventually run out. So what you need to do is you need to supplement what you have. You need to hunt. You need to learn how to go and butcher. I've not done that yet, but we've got some people that know how to do that, okay? I just like to shoot them, you know, let somebody else do that, okay? You need to fish. You need to fish. You need a year-round garden in the winter, the spring, and the summer. You need to grow what you like to eat, not what others like to eat, what you like to eat, what your family likes to eat. And you're just wasting your time if you're growing for others. You need to also, my sons and I the other day, we were in the backyard and they said, wow, look at this grass. We ate that the other day at so-and-so place. A lot of the stuff around that we grow up with, we think are weeds. They're edible. You need to get a book and find out what's edible. And you need to gather and gather always. Fats and oils, a lot of people think, okay, we're going to cook and everything. But they've not. They don't have any oil. They have no butter. They have no shortening, no nothing. So you need to gather that. Vegetable oil lasts 2 years. Olive oil lasts 3 years. Crisco, that we hardly ever eat other than Oreo cookies, 5 years, okay? But now we have a way of canning butter, and it will last for 5 years. You have to do them in half pints. And get with me if you want it. I've got it on my phone, and I can send that to you. But butter, okay? So another thing that you're going to need if you garden, you need mini hoops, greenhouse, and I would highly recommend, if you can't afford solar or anything like that, get a root cellar. If you dig down 8 feet, it's 55 degrees, a constant 55 degrees. Defense, bare minimum, 1 handgun. Bare minimum, 1 shotgun for 2 people. Bare minimum, 1 rifle. Now you can get a single shot or you can get semi-automatic. You can have both. I highly recommend you get a semi-automatic. Why? It makes sense, budget-wise. A 5.56 round costs about $13.20. A 2.23 that can fire in the same chamber if it's a 5.56 weapon is about $12.80. That's a whole lot cheaper. Okay, maybe it's more expensive here, probably not, but that's pretty cheap when you get a single shot round from a 30-30, 30-06, maybe 270 or something like that. It's about $1.50. So you do the math. You tell me which one would you rather have. Also, if you have people that attack, people don't like to attack by themselves. They like to have company. So you're not going to be only having 1, 2, or 3. You could have 5 or 10 people. I think anybody in the military can really relate to that. So what you want to do is you want to have a semi-automatic. If you don't want a rifle, we could go into the pistols. Pistols are real good, but I don't want to get into all that. Why do I know all this stuff? One is I shoot. And also I worked at a gun shop, so I know everything there is about weapons. And it's a lot of fun. Okay, ammo. How many rounds do you need? Bare minimum, this book says 500. What do I say? 800. Bare minimum, 800 rounds per weapon. For a semi-automatic, as many rounds as you can get your hands on. That's what you need for a semi-automatic. What else do you need? You need optics. I would rather shoot them 300 yards away than 5 feet from me. That would make me feel a whole lot better. Personally, I don't want to shoot anybody. But if I had to, and my family's lives are at stake, you bet your bottom dollar. I learned that in Iraq. They're not taking me down, I'm gonna take them down. So you learn that real fast. Thermal sights. Thermal sights are good. It's not fantastic, but they're pretty good. Another thing you need to get to the 21st century, and I know I'm short on time.
Yep,
How much
you're
time?
good.
I'm doing good?
Yep.
Okay. You need cameras. You want to be able to see where you don't want to go. Or you don't want to be out there at night or something, but you can watch your cameras. So watch your cameras. Also, camouflage. You need camouflage. We go to Bass Pro Shop and see those ghillie suits and say, "Oh, how fun," and everything. It's not fun anymore. Buy it. Get it. Put it together. Make your own. Now, this is the 21st century, and this is what you want to get. A drone. Everybody has drones today. I read some story, somebody in California said his neighbor watches him with his drones and he wants to shoot it down, but it's against the law. Out here, I think you could get away with it personally, but there you can't. You need a drone, and there are going to be places where you know the enemy's at or where you think they are. You don't want to go in there to find out. No one wants to go in there. They're going to say, "You go." No, you go. No, we're going to send the drone. And that's what you're going to do. And you're going to look over that big hedge of woods, and you're going to see where they are. You need drones. Okay. Communications. You must talk inside a group. You must know what's going on outside of your group and around you and how. Not only with drones and everything, you need to talk. Now listen up to what I have to say on this one. This comes out of the communications chapter in here, and it's really very good. Okay, real fast. A UV5R. Okay, this is a Chinese thing. It's a great dual band, two-way radio, max range 5 miles with antenna 6 to 12 miles. Urban area 3 miles. Has a high frequency range with 128 channels. Clear voice. Battery lasts for 4 hours. Here's the negative. You have to have a license of a ham radio operator. And then when you get that license, that's the only way the FCC is going to allow you to have that radio. You can only use 22 channels. Okay? All right, keep that in mind. Don't give up here. QIT KT8900, it's a big radio, and all these are mobile. Okay? The 5Rs you can keep right here. Have your little thing like you're the Secret Service agent here, and your earpiece and all. The other one is a radio that can contact everybody that has a 5R. I think it's 5R. So, and that's good. Now, another thing that people use it for is a police scanner. So that's a great way to know what's going on in your community is with that police scanner. There, you also have to have a ham radio license for that as well. Okay? Now, if you don't want to deal with a license, I can't blame you. So this is my recommendation. Go with no license. It's called a Cobra Act X645. Costs $63. It's a walkie-talkie. It's 35 miles from the mountaintop to the valley. 6 miles in open space. 2 miles in the city. It's waterproof and it's rugged. You don't need a license. That's a Cobra Act X645. Okay. Okay. Also, you need a battery radio, ham radio. Okay, I lost one card. The next one is medical. Just hear me out on the medical. Do the basics. Focus on cold weather. Anything happen with cold weather, frostbites, anything like that, you need heat. Okay? You need it badly. If you don't have heat, then you need a quilt. You need a down comforter. You need blankets, sleeping bags. You need something to keep yourself warm. Okay? The good thing about it, I've got it on the next slides here. But medical is very important. Everybody forgets medical. You need medical bad. You've got to have all the bandages for wounds, for stings, for stings. I've been bit 5 times. 4 yellow jackets, 1 wasp this year from farming. Okay, it happens. So what you do is you get you a pack of cigarettes. I don't smoke personally, but I get the tobacco out of it. You get that tobacco out, put it in a plastic sandwich bag, and then when they sting, just put some water on it, put it right on you, put a bandage around it, and you're good to go. It'll draw all that sting out and all that poison and everything, and you'll be fine. All right? You need to think basics, but you have got to have first aid. First aid kits. You've got to have all of that stuff with you. You need to put it in these kind of buckets right here. You should mark on the outside. Get those plastic things like you have for a piece of paper and all. This lady had it. She had put up and everything like that. But you need that and put it around it, saying everything you have in that bucket. And you can have it to go if you need to go. Or you can have it that you know what it is. But you must address everything. Not everything's going to be wounds. You need splints. You need all of this kind of stuff. Get you a good first aid magazine or a book. Or get this book. This book is outstanding on first aid. Their medical section is above par. It's awesome. Get the book. It will help you out greatly. Okay. Let me finish this up. Okay. This one's real important. How do you live with no electricity? I think right there, that would scare me to bejeebies. I'm going to talk to you heat, AC, lighting, cooking, much of it a little bit longer, but it will go and end. So there's another way. Now this is what I'm going to do. I'm not recommending that you do it. It's an idea, okay? What I've done is I bought some big tanks, propane tanks. What they have now, that they have adapters to them. And so what you can do is you can go and transfer the fuel from the big tank to a 20-pound tank, from the 20-pound tank to a 1-pound tank. I do that now with my 1-pound tanks. All these here, these are empty here. But my 1-pound tanks, I easily do that with the 20-pound. But you need a freezer, okay? And so keep that in mind, and I'll talk to you later about that, all right? So you can do that, and what you can do is you can use it for 2 things. You can use it for cooking, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And you can put buddy systems all around your house as long as you have carbon monoxide alarms, so you don't go and die in your sleep. Now, if you want to die in your sleep, don't put the alarms there. But I'm not suggesting that, okay? I'm not suggesting. But now you're gonna feel that way, like get the alarms out of here. I'm gonna go to sleep, and I'm not gonna wake up. Okay, I'm not suggesting that at all. Okay. But anyway, the buddies are a great way to heat yourself. Another one is Generac, but it's only 3 weeks. It's propane. It's emergency. It will generate your whole house, all the electricity and everything that you need and all, but only for 3 weeks. Another one that I've come across just recently from that same friend is gas. Okay, everybody loves generators, but you need gas for that. He's going to go, they got now called gasification. It's like you build like a steel in a sense, and what you do is you use coal and you use wood. Now we have wood. Coal, we don't even know where the coal is, but wood we have. And what you do is you put the wood in and it produces gasoline. That gasoline you put in your generator. So as long as you have wood and that thing operates, you can produce your own gasoline. All right? So that's a thought. Another one is a wood stove. Some of y'all have wood stoves. I've had a wood stove before, and all I kept felt like for me, all I kept doing was putting wood in it. Feels good. Nice and hot. Get some more wood, okay? And I burned through some wood. You know, you cut that and you're like, wow, what's the deal? Well, another one that's out there is called Russian masonry heater. It's a heater stove, and it's in your house, and it's beautiful. They make an elaborate, nice, what have you. It uses wood as well. But the difference here is that it lasts longer, doesn't use as much wood, and when you put the wood in, it's not like you have to keep adding it. You don't, and it lasts for 18 to 24 hours. It's a wonderful deal, and plus you can cook with it. Another one is some people use bricks, old-fashioned way, but you have to have a fire. You have to heat them up. You have to roll them up and put them under your bed. Don't put them in bed with you. You might start a fire. Okay? Down comforters, quilts, blankets, and sleeping bags. Down comforters work really well. When I was stationed in Germany, my landlord, I lived off base, they turn off the heat at night in Germany. Why? Because it's so expensive and it's freezing. He loaned me a down comforter. He saved me. All you have to do is get down there and burrow in there, put that down comforter on you, and you're good to go. You don't need a heater. It's good stuff. Okay, cooking, propane, gas, solar, wind, hydro can run whatever you need it to run. Also, the gasification can do that as well. Wood, you can cook on the wood stoves. You can cook on the Russian stoves. But also I didn't take it out, but the BioLite here, that's a wonderful thing. I know you probably haven't seen this, and I forgot to take it out. But this thing is a stove. You can cook anything on it, and all you do, you use twigs. That's all you do. Twigs, I forgot to take it out. But anyway, there's a stove inside of this. You pull it out, it has prongs and everything. Set up on top. You cook anything you want with it. It's got also, I have a grill on the side that you can attach to it, and you can cook your meat, whatever you want, off of twigs. That's all it is. I've used it now for many years. It works great. Okay, it's called a BioLite. BIOLITE. The last one is, I don't know if any of y'all use Dutch ovens. They work, and they're wonderful, and they really make some great food. We use it in Boy Scouts, and those boys know how to cook that Dutch oven. But that's a great way to go, and you can make anything, casseroles and all. Okay, last, got one more thing, two more things. Sanitation. Do not go to the bathroom outside. Go in your house. But you'll have to use water. I met a guy from St. Charles last one. He said, don't use water, compost it. I don't know. Since I have a little pond, I'm going to use my water. But if you're lacking, you can compost it. But what he said is you can't do number one in it. You can do number two, but not number one. And I'm like, okay, I'll tell him, okay. Cleaning supplies, get a lot of cleaning. Lysol, Pine Sol, all that kind of Sol. You need it, okay? Baby wipes, powder. The French, in the 1700s, the ladies never took a bath. Benjamin Franklin even said, oh my goodness, they never took a bath. What's wrong with them? But they had a lot of perfume and powder. So it can hide a lot of things. All right. Hygiene items, soap, shampoo, creams, toilet paper. When I was in Hawaii, the first thing when we have a hurricane coming through, you know what the Hawaiians go for? Toilet paper and what do they call it? Spam. That's right. Why? I asked somebody, why do you get toilet paper and Spam? We get bread and milk in South Carolina. What are y'all doing? They said it's all because of World War II. We were blockaded by the Japanese, and we couldn't get any food, and we ran out of toilet paper and Spam. They'll never run out now, I can tell you that. So, the last one, real fast, storage of food. Storage of food. How do you store it? You're gonna have, if you can, get solar, get wind or hydro, because you can have your freezer, You can have your refrigerator. You're off grid. Why not get a system and do that? It's a good investment. Backwoods Solar, I don't get paid. If you call them, ask for Brian, who's from Iowa, tell him that Scott from Missouri called, or told you to call, okay? And he will help you out. They all will help you all out. They live off grid. Okay, the gasification with the generator, dehydrator, a root cellar, smoke your meat, salt your meat, pantry, and you need storage areas out the yazoo. Use under your bed wherever you have to, but store the items. You have space where you don't think you have space. Store it. Thank you for these glasses. I reviewed the civil defense preparedness against China and Russia and how to survive their attack on America. What are your questions? Okay, probably don't have any. What are you gonna do?
We have time for a few questions. Okay, Ted.
How dependent is China on the 4 microchip factories in Taiwan?
They're not. They have their own. Okay, they do not need Taiwan's chips. They would like to have them because it's better quality, but they're not dependent on it. They do have their own. Okay, we had our own, but we sold it. It's a long story, but we took all our chips and all our manufacturing and we went to China, and they took it over. And now we don't have anything, and we're trying to start up. All our techie companies are trying their best, and you know what's hindering them? Lack of people. There's nobody qualified anymore.
So Intel is not near as good. That won't take care of it. Okay.
Not yet. They're going to be online by 2025. Chinese may hit us before then. It would be in their best interest if they do. But they will not have the quality at all. We're trying to get there, and we won't have the quantity. Yes, sir.
Other than an attempted shutdown again coming here pretty soon, have you heard or seen anything else coming in the near future that would kind of awaken some of this stuff?
You mean in the sense of the medical stuff?
Well, just in our communities locally right now, and I know the stuff you mentioned about China, but also in the is there anything in the talks or works that's going on?
Well, I know locally in our area, we have discovered that our chief of police has worked with ATF to put video cameras all over our county. And we're up in arms about that. I mean, that's something local. No, in our county is very conservative, and we have a lot of, they call us the radicals, because we stand up and we fight. Not in bad ways and all, but we are very vocal and outspoken, and but I don't see that. We did elect this past election a new presiding commissioner who is wonderful, Ike Skelton, and he's doing a great job. He's got also James Gohagan with him, and so they outvote the one liberal that's there, and they're doing a remarkable job, and they're really helping us a lot. So we have freedom. It's really good, but I don't know how long that's going to last. Yes, sir.
You said not to go to the bathroom outside. Which is that? Do you get shot? Or?
No, it's you live here in Missouri. You know how it is in the winter.
I have an
time.
outhouse.
You really want to?
I have an outhouse.
You have to. I take my head
Okay,
off to you.
gotcha.
I don't think I could make. I mean, I could do it, but
It's cool.
I don't know. I mean, just walking out there would just probably it's
Gotcha.
rough. That's right. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Scott, do you think in light of the fact that we have elections coming up next year that, and given that our own government really is facilitating this, takeover of our country, could you foresee, I mean, realistically, some of these plans being expedited to attack us?
Yes. It is in China's best interest to attack us right now because, see, they want not only Taiwan, they want the chips and all, but they know that if they take Taiwan, they're going to knock us off as being the head country. So really, it is in their best interest. Right now, we're looking at a time frame of anywhere from December to February when they will probably attack us. However, they're waiting for the elections in Taiwan, which will happen in January, and they're really trying to get into the election system they have one group there that is for reunification, but the current government and the most popular is not for reunification with China. They want to upend that. If they upend that, then they won't have to invade. If, in the election, if they lose, there's a good possibility they'll invade in February. If they don't invade then, they may wait till April or May. And that's another window. That's when the weather's good. See, they won't invade right now. And the reason why is there's too many typhoons. In August, in that area, they had 3 Category 4 typhoons. So this is the worst time to have an invasion because they could lose all their ships. They could lose the soldiers that are coming on shore and everything. And they're not going to be received friendly by the Taiwanese nor us. Okay, so they want everything to be favorable for their invasion. Do you understand? But their goal is, yes, to knock us off, and it probably would be better now than later, because if they give us till 2024, we'll be on our feet.
Are you familiar with BRICS?
BRIC, oh yes, I'm very familiar with BRIC. I don't think BRIC's gonna work right now because the dollar is too entrenched. I've been watching that very closely. I think it does make a difference, but it's still, I had thought maybe they could take over the dollar real fast. It's not gonna happen. It's gonna take probably about a decade or longer for them to take it over. And just because all these countries are on board now, doesn't mean that they cannot be swayed to come off of it.
Sure.
So a lot of people just think, oh, they're gonna be on board, they're gonna stay there.
Well, I know India just recently purchased oil with rupees. I mean, there are countries that are now buying and exchanging with their own currency. So I know it's being implemented at some level.
That's right, it is.
All right.
Got it, ma'am?
Hey, I've got one.
Oh.
Is it true that approximately 95% of the fentanyl that is being brought across the southern border illegally, and that's killing about 100,000 Americans every year, is it true that about 95% of it is manufactured in China?
That's correct, you're exactly on it. And so that's really sad when you hear about that. Why is our government, why do we have an open border? I've been all over the world. There is not one country in the world that has open borders. Not one. So why is this happening? So you have to ask why. And so why is our military out here trying to do their job, and then the government's undercutting them, and they have these open borders, and the Chinese and everybody else, the sex trade and everything is coming in that is horrible and that's not American at all. People don't get it. We get it. They're not Americans. Okay? They're not Americans. They're Americans. But you remember, who was that? We always say Benedict Arnold. He was with us. He was with Washington and all. And what did he do? He traded. He traded for money. Traded for money, for prestige and all, for power. That's what's happening now. So there are Americans that are trading for the dollar or for whatever it's worth.